Thank you, Madam Chair, Ranking Member Bozeman. I'm on the Agriculture Committee, Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions. I'm on a committee called Budget Committee, which sadly has been relegated into almost a useless appendage here in the federal government. We haven't done a budget that we've adhered to in decades. Agriculture is dear to me because I come from an agricultural community, been involved with it as a tree farmer, row crop. I look at how we spend money in the Farm Bill, and 82% of it is for nutrition. 11% would be for safety net programs with crop insurance, commodities supports, and then conservation, roughly 4%. Begs a question in that we don't do budgets anymore, and ag, like maybe defending our country, ought to be things that we do well, but you have to live within your means. I'd like to point out, while you have opportunities like this, we currently are borrowing nearly 30% of what we spend annually. It was closer to 20% when I got here. That is not a good business plan for the long run. I'm mostly preaching at this point. I'm going to be interested to see how the Farm Bill has turned into a nutrition bill, and it's all part of the issue. And you find out here, Senator Thune pointed to it earlier, that the Thrifty Food Plan increased by over 21%, and it's now going to shove the Farm Bill into over $1 trillion trajectory over the next 10 years. I think for anybody listening out there, it's unsustainable. And the hallmark of our country, and for places where it works well, you live within your means. The economy, when you're knocking it out of the park, grows between 2.5% and 3% in recent times. That's generally done with a little lighter regulation and tax incentives to the productive side of the economy that make sure you're at least generating revenues that this place needs to live upon. Those are at record levels currently, I think, due to the tax framework that was put into place. And I think you got to look at each part of our federal government, and one that is probably most practical, farmers who participate to the tune of about 11% in the Farm Bill. They are the ones that produce the food that becomes our nutrition. What guidelines are we using within the ag department on the simple issue of food insecurity? I think the benchmark is that we try to get that under 10%. We haven't done that in 20 years. That's almost similar. We haven't balanced a budget in 20 years. And I think twice as many folks are under the SNAP program. Why aren't we reaching that goal when we're spending tons of money more and seem to be going the opposite way? Help me understand that.
Thank you, Senator, for the question, and thank you for your leadership on the White House Conference on Hunger, Nutrition, and Health, which I think really was the objective was to tackle both this issue and, of course, the deep connections between diet-related disease and health, right? We are both seeking to address people's needs today with food insecurity, but also make an investment in the future in better health by stronger federal nutrition programs. I mean, I think you ask a really important question, and to some extent, I think the answer is a little outside of federal nutrition. Certainly, we are making changes to the federal nutrition programs to ensure that our support is meaningful and to push the needle on that issue of food insecurity that you raise. But it's also the case that I think some of our programs are being asked to do too much. I think SNAP benefits are covering a whole food budget when households are supposed to contribute their income, but their income is strapped because they're a working family that can't afford childcare. Their health insurance might be out of reach for them, or they're living in a state that hasn't offered Medicaid coverage. The refundable child tax credit is no longer there for them. I think during the pandemic, we saw where investments in the safety net, bolstering workers and unemployed workers can make a profound difference with respect to poverty and food insecurity. And it is other parts of our critical safety net that need shoring up so that household income isn't drawn away from meeting their food needs for other purposes.
And you even brought up a few more things that we try to do through the federal government, and there's a need for it. I don't deny that. But somehow, when you look at the macro figures I mentioned a little bit ago, the economy grows at 3% a year when you're knocking it out of the park. Things can't grow here at rates beyond that because you're borrowing from future generations. And if we don't get better at finding, like we do on Main Street, when I confronted '08 and '09, I thought I had a lean business. It was not hard to find savings of 5, even up to 10%. That's not even in our vocabulary now. And what's in our vocabulary is that we borrow money from future generations for good causes. But if we're going to look to the federal government to be there in a way that people are going to believe it and not delivering results where you can't get food insecurity under 10% when we've been trying so hard, spending so much money, maybe we need to look inside. Are we running things like most other places would have to make those trade-offs to get a better result? Keep working hard at it. Thank you.